Okay. All right. Well, we will go ahead and get started. I'd like to welcome the defending champion of the Farmers Insurance Open, Patrick Reed. Patrick, thanks for joining us for a few minutes. Coming off that convincing five-stroke win last year at 14 under here. Just some thoughts on being back. I believe you had a top 10 even the year before that, sixth place maybe in 2020. So obviously a place that suits you and your game well. So just some thoughts on being back here at Torrey Pines.
It's awesome being back. Anytime you can defend, it's amazing to be back on site. But, I love this golf course. It's one of these golf courses where you really have to think your way around this place. It's not just set up and hit driver and just attack. I mean, you actually have to have a pretty good game plan going into this place. And I feel like I do better at harder golf courses and places you have to think around because it gets me more involved and more engaged in the golf shots.
Okay, and you're making your eighth start of this season, highlighted by the runner-up finish in Bermuda. I saw you last week, didn't get a chance to talk to you. What are some of the things you've been working on and some of the things you're coming in confident with as far as your game goes?
Hey, confidence is actually pretty high. I got a lot of work done earlier this week as well as during the off-season or short off-season that we had in December. I was able to get a lot of work done with Sean Hogan and David Ledbetter to really just kind of dial in not only what we're doing on the golf swing, but really get the clarity about my game, about certain golf shots, about how the swing's supposed to be. And, I feel like with golf, the more you can understand what you're trying to do and feel these things, the easier it is to kind of fix things on the fly. Because, let's be honest, with golf, you're always, of course, always trying to hit the best golf shot. But at the end of the day, it's who can play their misses better and who can manage their off swings the best in order to, have a chance to win on Sundays.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, we'll take a few questions. We'll start right here with Todd, San Diego Tribune.
Patrick, what's your schedule been like this week with this early start? Do you feel like you're coming from the desert. Do you feel like it a rush at all to kind of get ready here? And I know you're familiar with the course. But.
Right. No, actually, it's actually been nice. Last week, I feel like I did a lot of things well, but I had two holes that really just absolutely destroyed me. And unfortunately, one of those was the 72nd hole of the tournament. So with having the tournament start so quickly on that turnaround, it allowed me to really just kind of forget about last week. And, with Coach being here, I'm able to really just kind of get my mind really set on what we're trying to do this week and focus on a place that, really, when you look at both courses, north and south, it's right out in front of you. There's not really that much quirkiness going around, or there's not a ton of, I would say, course knowledge you need. It's one of these, you have to hit fairways, you have to hit greens, and you hit solid putts are going to go in. So I think with having a short turnaround like that, you're able to kind of really get locked in this week. And I kind of tend to over-prepare during tournament weeks, and that being said, having one less day to do that just means hopefully I'll be more fresh come Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about coming off of the entire season last year. You had the win early. You went through your illness. There was all the Ryder Cup talk, all that. When you look back on last year, what's the takeaway? Like, what's the feeling about both the ups and downs of it?
No, I really think the biggest thing is anytime you can win on the PGA Tour throughout a year, it's a good year. Obviously, to be a little bit more consistent, have more chances to win than one, that's what turns into a great year. And I felt like last year was a good year for me. I didn't feel like it was my best, but it really allowed me to sit down and kind of reflect on the things I did well as also the things I needed to change. And I felt like making that swing change and going and working with David Ledbetter and really kind of locking on that golf swing is something I need to do for the long term, and I feel like it's going to pay dividends later on. And with that being said, I felt like the kind of ups and downs throughout the season last year, inconsistencies were really what drove that decision and really cemented that decision. And with that being said, I'm really looking forward to this year, especially coming on right now where I start feeling a little bit more comfortable with things that we're working on. And with that being said, just the confidence is through the roof because of that. You're at home, you have coach there, you're hitting some of these really good golf shots and quality golf shots, and whenever you do that, it just seems to give you that extra momentum that you need kind of going into tournament weeks.
Your illness was serious. How long did it take you to kind of feel normal again and feel like you were strong enough to compete on a golf course rather than just be there?
Right, so I would say that there's a difference between, for us, being strong enough to play than being 100%. I felt like I was strong enough to play, strongish enough to play at East Lake. But, I mean, right now I'd say I'm at 90%. I'm not quite fully 100% yet. Speed's not 100% there, and just kind of, I would say, strength and endurance is getting there. But it's one of those things that it's been a long process, a long run. But with the amazing team that I have at home on my side, I wouldn't even think I'd be even close to where I am now without them. I mean, they've been able to push me pretty hard and know when I can fully throttle it or when I need to kind of dial back to, not just golf-wise, but just stay healthy and get across that hump, because it was a brutal run there when I got sick. But at the same time, I feel like we've done everything that we can in order to continue moving forward.
Can you speak to what kind of fear you might have felt when you were at your most ill? I mean, I don't know what kind of mindset you have on illnesses and things like that, but.
So I've never been in the hospital really before that because of illness or anything. Knock on some wood, but really, I felt really bad. Obviously, when I was in the hospital, and then when the doctor told me that, hey, there's a good chance that you might not survive this, and you might not see your family again. When you hear that, you go from feeling really bad to now in a pretty dark place mentally. And the only thing I could do is just really rely on the team that we had at the hospital to not only get me through, but also mentally just try to keep on pushing and be like, hey, because you want to see your kids again, you want to watch them grow up. And I think that was the first time that I felt like really kind of almost beaten. I've always been really mentally strong, that nothing really phases me, and that was the first time that I'm sitting there and there's a lot of things kind of going through your mind. You don't know what's going to happen. I think everyone has kind of had a fear of maybe, drowning before, but I feel like I was really drowning out of water. I'm in just air, and I'm feeling like I'm just struggling. And, to be here, to be able to play golf and to be back hanging out with kids and everything is a blessing for me. And really, it really made me sit back and, realize you can't take life for granted. You have to, enjoy every moment, because you just never know. I mean, something could happen and you could be gone in a matter of a blink.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, Suzanne, go ahead.
First of all, trying to build on your confidence factor here, earlier this morning, we heard from both John Ram and also JT, who were saying you're just the short game miracle worker of the year. So you've got a lot of respect from your colleagues on this. But tell me, what is it that makes you so good with this short game? Where do you get your inspiration from? What is it? Give us some clues, please.
Growing up, when I was growing up and when I was a young child, I was watching Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson. That was when they were out there playing in their prime, and watching Phil, obviously his short game, hitting those big flops. You're always out there wanting to hit the flop shots, and watching Tiger, the way he can not only just chip, the way he putts. I grew up watching those things and really trying to copy a lot of what they're doing, because I can tell you this much, as a kid as I am now, I wasn't the straightest hitter in the world. I was having to chip out a lot, having to get up and down from everywhere. So I had a lot of practice growing up, and really, once I saw that and I started playing a lot of golf myself, you realize how important short game is. I think like it's over 60% of your shots happen from 130 yards on in. And so that's where I was, I decided to try to perfect and really work on that. Now I feel like with working David Ledbetter and Sean, I'm able to use my full swing as a weapon rather than always using it as a crutch to be like, all right, well, what's going to happen on full swing, and then rely on short game. Now I'm able to feel a lot more confidence in full swing, and when that happens, I'm able to attack more flags because I have that confidence in short game to get up and down when I'm short-sided or kind of take on one of those unnecessary risks that I have to attack a golf hole.
Bryce?
Hey, Patrick, last year was not a normal Farmers Insurance Open. It was a unique weekend for you. On one hand, you win going away by 5 strokes pretty convincingly. Still a ton of discussion about the Saturday and the embedded ball situation. How do you think that will or should be remembered last year?
Well, I mean, it should be remembered as a victory. I mean, at the end of the day, the rules officials and everything I did, we did nothing wrong. And when you have rules officials that come out and say that, as well as you sit there and they're able to go by the book and go by the rules, and you don't do anything wrong like that, then there's no real discussion about it. You know, I go out there and play the best I can and do everything I'm supposed to and win a golf tournament.
So earlier today, guys like John Rahm and Justin Thomas were asked about you and a little bit our questions, my question, not theirs, just to give you fair context. But sometimes a little bit of the noise around your game, but just how successful it is. And both of them said there's nobody on tour we'd want to have a wedge or putter in their hand. So your game is obviously very respected at the uppermost level by other players. But at some of the perspective you talked about with Todd's question, how do you kind of go through hoping that put distance between those discussions about your game and the other stuff around the game over the years?
It really, I mean, the only thing I can do is keep on moving forward, keep trying to get the best I can on the golf course and handle myself how I feel like I'm supposed to off the golf course, whether it's, you know, with my peers, whether it's at home, whether it's, you know, out on the road or anything like that. As long as I feel like I'm doing the right things, and, you know, all of it will take care of itself.
Todd?
You having said that, do you feel that there's this big disconnect between how you conduct your life and your golf game for that matter, and what some may perceive as a difference between how you feel about it?
Well, I definitely feel like everyone who has actually got to know me compared to what they read is completely different. And, you know, really that's, at the end of the day, I can't control really what's been written. I can only control what I do and how my interactions are with people, with fans, with, you know, people that actually get to know me and things like that.
I wanted to ask you about the Ryder Cup. Did you watch it? If so, what was that experience like, given your success in it before?
Yeah, honestly, I watched a little bit of it, of course, but really, whenever I didn't make the team, of course, as a player, you're always disappointed because, I mean, that's what we try to do. We compete to try to make those teams and try to represent your country. But really, the biggest thing at that point was to try to make sure I stayed healthy and really working with, you know, the doctors and my family and everything at home to make sure that, you know, we kept on improving health-wise to get ready for the season rather than, you know, sit there and go the wrong way with health. Because just because I was out of the hospital, just, you know, there was a long road for us to take in order to get the lungs back being healthy enough to be able to work out, to be able to walk and sustain playing golf and practicing. So, you know, at that point, my mind was more focused on trying to get healthy for everyone else rather than, you know, really dwelling on whatever happened Ryder Cup or dwelling on with, you know, things that happened throughout the year. It was more about, you know, trying to get back to 100% to be out here playing with these guys.
Did Steve ask you if you were physically ready to play? Was that a part of the conversation as well?
Yeah, no, for sure. He asked me how I was doing whenever I first saw him at East Lake, and then, you know, I kept in touch with him throughout East Lake to let him know how I felt, as well as, you know, just making sure that he knew that I was good to go.
So you were good to go in your mind. It's not like you bowed out.
Right. No, I definitely felt like I was healthy enough to go out and to play and to help the team. I didn't feel like I would have been a hinder or anything like that. I felt like, you know, physically I would have been fine, ready to go. Yeah.
Suzanne?
Yeah, Patrick, a quick question, going forward, looking ahead. I know you came to play in Switzerland. You also, I remember after you won the American Express or whatever it was called back in the day in the desert, said you wanted to be an international player. What is your schedule looking like for the rest of this year? And is that still something that's part of your objectives and your agenda?
Right. Yeah. No. For sure. I definitely plan on continuing to be a member on both tours and being a worldwide player. I'm playing next week at Saudi, and then after that, I'll basically be here in the States throughout the Masters, kind of getting ready for Augusta, as well as, supporting the PGA Tour and being out here playing as much as I can. But really, after Augusta, I haven't really sat down and figured out my schedule yet. This year, we've kind of have done it kind of in quarters rather than sit there and try to plan out the entire year, just because you never know with what happens with COVID, what happens with health-wise or anything like that. You just, you have to have the schedule allow it to be fluid rather than sit there and in most years just have it concrete and locked down.
Good. And one question, and maybe going out on a limb here, but no slight to any of the other players with families out here, but I always like to ask you about Team Reed. Obviously, very significant and pivotal to your success out here. Kids are still young, so it's not quite the cats in the cradle syndrome yet, but just talk about how significant to you and your game they are, so much so that you are Team Reed.
Hey, my team's huge, especially family. With the work that my team and family do behind the scenes really allow me to be out here playing. Without the things and sacrifices that Justine has made for us, as well as, with talking to the little ones all the time and seeing them on FaceTime is unbelievable. Thank God we have FaceTime, because it would be brutal for all the guys out here not being able to see their families, seeing their kids grow up. And I just feel like with all the hard work that they do, that they really don't get recognized for, because at the end of the day, it's our name on the scoreboard. But without them and without a really sound foundation that you have, you wouldn't be out here. I mean, golf is just as much mental as it is physical out here, and with having an amazing team and a great family, at the end of the day, it would be a lot harder.
Very good. All right. Well, Patrick, best of luck this week, and we appreciate your time as always.
Thank you.
Thank you.